Not happy, Bob. Not happy because I did a live stream already, and then it turns out that it was recording nothing in terms of audio. So let's talk about this movie because I actually enjoyed Superman a lot, actually. So I have no problem talking about it again. My video essay for this movie is going to be out this weekend. It's just been taking me a little bit of time to edit because there's some fancy things I kind of want to do with it, and also on top of that, I just have work and a lot of other stuff that I need to get done on top of that. So this channel, I promise you, it'll be out very soon. I can't give a date, but keep just trust me, it'll be out. It'll be out. Okay. Also on top of that, to anybody out there who is I'm not talking about Snyder fans because Snyder fans are fine. I'm talking about those Snyder cultists out there that feel the need to attack my channel for giving my opinion on a movie that I enjoy or other people enjoy, then you might as well just stay out of the comment section because I don't feed negativity on my channel. Now, I'll do it if I want to be funny, but there's nothing funny about what you guys are doing. And also trying to boycott a movie, a Superman movie, even though you claim to be Superman fans. Superman fans would want a movie to be successful, not to flop. No, just no. Stop it. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk Superman. Enjoyed the movie. Really like David Corenswet as Superman. I feel like he's my favorite, right next to Christopher Reeve. And no shade to Henry Cavill. It's just that after reading Superman media and kind of watching Superman media, and it kind of coming back to Man of Steel, because Man of Steel was my introduction to the character, and I liked Henry Cavill. I was like, oh yeah, the Superman with an edge finally, and things that were a bit more edgy for me. Because my favorite characters growing up were Spider-Man, the Hulk, and Batman. Never Superman. I can't say after consuming Superman media, Henry Cavill Superman was just not Superman. He wasn't. Now, Man of Steel, I'll still defend that movie because it was a Superman origin movie. And you can kind of tell when he became Clark Kent, that persona at the end, what they're going for. They originally were going to make him Superman. And that was establishing him as Superman at the end of the movie. But they never followed through with it. And that's the problem. So going into this movie, I thought it was very bold how the film started, where we already get set into a DCU that is established. And you have them showing Superman, his first appearance is him beat up in the snow, bloody, calling Krypto for help, going back to the fortress, discussing Superman lore. If you don't know who Superman is already, this film is not going to explain that much for you. So you need to know your Superman before going to see this. Superman gets back into the battle, and Hammer Bravia is attacking the city and attacking Superman, having all these counter moves that can counteract him completely. Turns out Lex Luthor is behind it to exacerbate a situation that Superman has intervened with in Bravia as a response, and Superman's getting whooped because Lex Luthor has created all these counters for Superman that he's feeding to the Hammer of Bravia, who is really Ultraman under the suit, trying to create more conflict for Superman. I love how we finally get a look at the Daily Planet, how David Corenswet's Clark Kent is very solid. I also love the fact that they've already established that Superman and Lois Lane are already in a relationship, and that Lois Lane is in on Clark's act. They have an excellent interview scene between one another where you have Lois Lane questioning Superman or Clark Kent in this moment. She's like, you can't keep interviewing yourself because you're not being challenged in these interviews. And so he decides to let her interview him as Superman. And it does not go very well for him. She questions him. She really digs into him. And Superman gets very upset because he's like, "How are you mad at me for saving lives?" She's not mad at him for saving lives. She's more grilling him because his effects in intervening with the war that they had going on and threatening a general had consequences. And it's going to have consequences. So even though it may have been good intentions, all good intentions also have consequences to those good intentions. And I like that they challenged him in that way. And we also have Lex Luthor, who, again, the biggest hater in this movie and played wonderfully by Nicholas Hoult through this movie, breaks into the Fortress of Solitude, which is DNA encrypted. And that's how they're able to gain access. I think you can kind of tell where the story is going here if you've seen the movie already. And I kind of knew where the story was going here when the fortress kind of went up and they were able to just access the fortress. I kind of knew that it was going to be a Superman clone. So the reveal was not that big of a deal for me. But they break into the fortress and they steal a message that was half cut off when Superman arrived to Earth. They encrypt the message and give it to the world. Now, Superman is being distracted with a giant kaiju in the moment, which feels out of the 50s and 60s eras Superman comic books where you have those bizarre, weird creatures that he would deal with. And this was kind of our introduction to the Justice Gang, which I thought was another highlight in the movie. Guy Gardner being one of my favorites, played excellently by Nathan Fillion. Terrible bowl cut. The film acknowledges it and talks about how bad it is. Love that. Hawkgirl, she was okay in the movie. They didn't really give her much to do. I wish they gave her a little bit more to do or a little bit more development, but with as much as going on, that might have been maybe a little bit more stuff added in there that was unnecessary. Mr. Terrific, the highlight out of the Justice Gang. The highlight. And the stuff they do with him later, we'll discuss. Fantastic character. James Gunn killed it with Mr. Terrific. And I knew he would when I kind of saw that casting decision. I was like, oh, great actor for Mr. Terrific. Excellent actor. So Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor encrypts the message for Superman's spaceship, the half that he never saw. And they kind of change up the origin in a way that might actually be disliked by many people. I actually liked it because it plays into a messaging for Superman that is discussed later in the movie. And I like the fact that they showed that the Kryptonian parents that he had actually wanted him to conquer Earth instead of save it. They wanted him to set himself up as a hero and conquer Earth. And it's legitimate. Like the film establishes it as being legitimate. And Superman's very doubtful of himself. He's very unsure. Krypto's been kidnapped. So he decides to, well, they have this excellent scene between him and Lois where he's sitting there talking to her. And he has some like interdimensional thing in the background that's just game kind of fighting. Very funny scene, very funny comedic. Also love the line of dialogue he gives where she asks, "You have a dog?" And he said, "Yeah, he's not really that much of a good boy, but he's probably feeling alone and he's probably scared. So I'm gonna still go look for him." That through and through felt like Superman to me. Even moments of him going around as destruction's going on, he's saving as many lives as he can. He even saves a squirrel, man. Like he values human life in general more than anything. And that through and through is Superman to me. Henry Cavill was cool visually, and there's a lot of great moments with Henry Cavill, but I did feel very uncomfortable in some moments where he was kind of fighting characters and there was people dying all around him. And it was just like, you're killing more people than saving in these moments. Like it was kind of disturbing. And I get it, Superman, realistic setting, and all that, but I mean, this is a DCU that's not realistic. So you can have him saving people. You can have him grabbing buildings that are falling down and not letting fall on people. That's something I didn't like in those movies. So we finally have Superman turning himself in to the government and Lex Luthor. Now, okay, so this is where either people ride with this movie or they fall off because it gets really bizarre. I'm talking like 60s bizarre. Lex Luthor has created a pocket dimension that you can kind of travel between. That has this prison where he puts a lot of his haters in. He puts Superman in there as well, and then there's like all these internet troll monkeys in there, which is supposed to represent the Snyder cult, which I thought was kind of funny, but it was just kind of like people. This might lose people at this moment. For me, I stuck with it. What was interesting was they had Metamorpho in there, and they used his baby Joey, a green alien looking baby, to blackmail him into creating the element kryptonite to subdue Superman in this prison. Now, the ways kryptonite affects him in this movie felt far more physical than any other interpretation of the character. And I like that. It kind of made him actually seem more alien because he looked more alien when he was getting affected by the kryptonite. Like he's all drawn in. You could see wrinkles appearing on his face, veins. It looked very alien like, and he was very weak in that moment. But the scene that had my jaw on the ground, that hit me hard, that kind of conflicted with a lot of the tone of the movie, was Lex Luthor is questioning Superman in this moment. And he is planning on bringing in people who know Superman or have interacted with him. And he brings in this guy who was nice to him earlier in the film, helping him get back to his feet. And he's playing a game of Russian roulette while questioning Superman. He says, "What's your real name?" Superman's like, "I can't tell you." "Who are the people that raised you here?" Superman's like, "Please, Luthor, I can't tell you. Don't do it." He's still clicking. And what made the scene more disturbing was that you have the guy saying, "Superman, please, I don't let him kill me and everything. Please, please." Luthor just shoots him in the head. I was like, they actually went there. And it made Lex Luthor, I thought he was already great in the movie. This made him irredeemable in my eyes. Like it really made me go, "Oh, there's nothing irredeemable about this dude." And he enjoyed it. And that's what I liked about this film was the fact that James Gunn was not afraid to make villains in these movies. The problem I have with modern day supervillains is that they try to make all of them sympathetic. You have to understand evil. Sometimes you don't always have to understand evil. Sometimes evil could just be evil. Sometimes people are terrible, just terrible people. I mean, Hitler, he's a terrible guy. You don't need to understand him. He's terrible. Lex Luthor in this film, irredeemable. When that moment hit, my jaw was on the floor. He was saying how he's going to bring other people from Daily Planet, people he's associated with, and bring them down there and do the same thing. This dude was evil through and through, and his motivation was just because he's jealous of Superman. That's Lex Luthor through and through. And in that moment, I was like, I hate this dude. And I cannot wait to see you get your comeuppance. So that moment hit kind of hard. And the thing that bothered me about that too was how the tone conflicted in the next scene. You have this dark moment where you have Lex Luthor shooting a guy in the head right in front of Superman as he's screaming in pain and crying, to Mr. Terrific listening to beach music, beating up Luthor drones with his T-Spears. Great action sequence, but the thing is, I couldn't really focus on it because I was like, well, we're jumping from this moment to here. Like, why are we at a more fun moment when we just lost a character in a very dark and edgy way? You get where I'm coming from? And somebody said to me when I went to the screening that he said, "Oh, that's James Gunn's style." And it is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it works for moments like that. That was disturbing. I had the same problem with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, phenomenal movie. But when they had the moment where Rocket's friends died in that moment, and I felt very heartbroken, it felt kind of disturbing to have a scene next to that where Drax knocks somebody off a motorcycle, and it's meant to be comedic. It just didn't allow me time to really process. You know, you get what I'm saying? And the middle section of this film was actually the section that I kind of disliked the most, despite the rest of the film I thoroughly enjoyed. You have Superman rescuing baby Joey with the help of Metamorpho. Metamorpho is like, "Okay, I'll help you because I don't want to see anybody else die." but you need to help me get my child out. And Superman's like, bet. Metamorpho uses the power of the sun because he's elemental to heal Superman up, and they get out of there with the help of Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane. The sequence that they had for them escaping felt a little bit too much, where they had like a rainbow river and Superman's going in there and there's tendrils, like, and he's holding the baby with one arm. It felt kind of iffy. And then to make things more interesting was that Crypto was grabbing the orbs that Mr. Terrific was trying to use to help. Maybe just a little bit too much, but then they move on from that to probably one of the better emotional scenes in the movie, where you have Superman at the farm after being healed, doubting himself, feeling like his whole purpose was a lie, that his parents were, or his Kryptonian parents were not everything they seemed to be. And he feels lost. The scene with Pa Kent hit right here, hit right here. And this is the Jonathan Kent. Though they were country as I don't know what, we wash your boots for you, Clark. What they did with that moment felt very human, and it was a great messaging moment for the character and also for people in general that can feel relatable. I love the fact that he said it's your choices, your actions that make you who you are. Us as parents aren't here to tell you what we do with your life. We just give you the tools to live out your life, to make fools of yourselves. I liked it. It was a really good moment. And it hit right here, especially with the moment where they had the kids in Baravia being attacked, raising the Superman flag, and that theme hit. Great. Really great moment. Then you have Lex Luthor once again being a hater, and Nicholas Hoult again. Great Lex Luthor. He's getting pissed off, knocking stuff over intentionally, telling people, pick it up. I hated this dude. That's how you can tell the actor did a good job. And they caused the pocket dimension to expand on the Earth, separating Metropolis in half. And Superman and Mr. Terrific, it's up to those two as the Justice Gang is sent over to Baravia to help assist them because you can't be two places at one time. As they're trying to fix the problem, Ultraman and the engineer, who is Lex Luthor's right-hand assistant besides Ultraman, tag team them, and it's a phenomenal action sequence. It feels like these two can really do some damage on Superman, and I like that. You have the engineer's nanites that are trying to fill his lungs. Meanwhile, Ultraman is of equal strength to him and also using counters to every move he's using. It's like that in and of itself makes it almost impossible for him to take on this tag team. Until he uses his brains, flies them both up into the sky, and uses his momentum to drop them back down full speed, knocking out the engineer and leaving just him and Ultraman, who is in fact revealed to be an Ultraman clone, and how he was able to access the fortress earlier in the movie with Lex. That makes sense. And I also love the fact that a lot of people said that this is an underpowered Superman. Yes, it is. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. I mean, to the typical human, he's very, very, very powerful. Like, if he flicked you, you'd be dead. But this was very reminiscent to Superman, the animated series, where he was getting shot with plasma rifles, but he was still kind of blocked because the pressure would bother him. That's the type of Superman they have here. Or that his weakness isn't just kryptonite. He has other weaknesses like magic, or other characters that are just as strong as him can probably injure him. Or there's other things that could enter his bloodstream that could bother him. That's very Superman the animated series. I mean, there was an episode with Livewire in Superman the animated series where she's a character made of electricity, and was still able to do some damage on Superman. Make that what you will. So I like the idea that you get to see a Superman that doesn't just take everything out with ease. It makes it more grand when the victory happens because he's overcoming an obstacle. And the complaint that a lot of people have for the character is that he's not relatable. This is by far the most relatable because he's struggling the entire movie. As a matter of fact, Lex Luthor in the entire movie has the upper hand on him 90% of the movie. And it's a huge obstacle for him to hurdle over, and he does it. And they set up the fact that Ultraman could potentially become Bizarro in the future because he says the clone is kind of defective. And when Superman beats him and throws him into the pocket dimension, uh, it felt like they were setting up Bizarro with that one line of dialogue and kind of throwing him into an alternate universe. I feel like he's going to come back as Bizarro. And they do awesome movements with the character of Superman when he's fighting the Lex bots that I thought was really cool. How they do the spinning move that felt like out of the comic books and how he heat visions out of the comic books. And they have that confrontation between Lex Luthor. He has his comeuppance. They figure everything out. And it feels very happy at the end. It feels like everything is kind of wrapped up in a nice bow. I like how they had the cameo with Supergirl popping up at the end, kind of setting up Woman of Tomorrow. Though I can't tell if she's going to be a good Supergirl because she comes in and she's drunk, so it doesn't give a great depiction of her acting ability because she's playing as a drunk character. I can't tell if that's going to be good, but hopefully when she's playing as the sober version of herself in the movie, it'll work out. And I like the full circle moment where at the beginning of the film he would use his Kryptonian parents as comfort in the crypt or in the Fortress of Solitude. Now it's footage of his earthly parents. Full circle moment. Love that moment. And I thought this was a phenomenally done comic book movie. Probably one of the best comic book movies. Not the greatest movie, and definitely not the best DC movie. But as a comic book film, very well done. It gave me a lot of what I wanted as someone who's become more Superman familiar, more of a Superman fan, and also dealt with a lot of issues I have with the character, like the relatability factor. This is probably the most relatable Superman to me personally. I liked David Cornsweet's more relaxed attitude. He felt more human. This film seems to remember that there's a man in the word Superman, and I like that. I also love the costume. The costume felt very bright, colorful. There's a lot of colors in the movie, a lot of great action sequences. The music, Richard Donner's theme is synonymous with the character of Superman. Hans Zimmer did a fantastic job in creating a score that's recognizable in and of itself, but they kind of go back to basics with the score here. And when it was the Superman moments, I thought the score shined the most. There are some generic tracks in there every now and then. I don't think those worked as well, but for the Superman themes throughout, phenomenal. And the way they redid the themes from John Williams, great, great music. Again, not the perfect movie out there, but as an establishment of this universe's Superman, establishment as these world's characters, and a lot of great moments throughout, and things that I think will leave audiences leaving with smiles on their face. I mean, when I saw this in theaters, I was smiling like an idiot when I was watching this movie. And asked critics when I saw it, I was like, what do you guys think? They all said they liked it. Even people who didn't necessarily think it was the greatest thing out there, they liked it. And they left very happy. And I can't remember the last time with a DC movie that I left out smiling. And it feels nice to have a film that feels like I'm smiling and I feel happy watching it. This film feels like Phase 3 Marvel, and the same feeling that you would leave out with a smile, right? And then you would want to re-see it again or see it again in theaters. That's how I felt leaving it. I was like, I was happy and I want to see it again. And that to me tells me that that's in the good direction that DC's going. And I feel like the other projects that they're doing now, DC's in good hands. I mean, hands down. So Superman was good. Not amazing. Amazing elements in there, but it was good. So that's my overall thoughts to Superman. Highly recommend it if you are a Superman fan. If you're not really familiar with the character at all, I wouldn't recommend seeing this because it throws you right into the action. And it's already an established DCU. But if you know the character and his origins, I say go see it. It's really good. It's fun, and that's all. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. Let me know your guys' comments, and to the people out there that are the hardcore Zack Snyder fans, I'm not talking about regular Zack Snyder fans. I'm talking about like that fan base out there that attack people. If you're watching this and you plan on attacking this video just because I enjoyed a version of Superman that you didn't necessarily enjoy, or it's not your Henry Cavill, and you want to say, "Oh, your channel sucks because you have this opinion," then don't even comment. Don't even comment. Simple as that. So, anyways, hopefully you guys have a good night, and I'm gonna go ahead and get to editing on this video essay that I'm doing because that's gotta be out this weekend. So, hopefully you guys have a great night, and remember, keep talking movies and media a lot.